Hello and welcome to the next episode of The Conscious Female Founder. I'm your host, Sally Tarbox. I am the proud owner of this podcast where we talk with other inspirational women who have set up their own businesses. I am also the owner of a company called The Empowerment Movement, where I work with other female entrepreneurs to add income streams to their business. I've also had the amazing pleasure of being featured on Fox TV out in the States on a program called Women of Influence. And I am also an international best-selling author. But today is not about me. Today is about my lovely guest, Anne-Marie. I'm super excited to be sat down with her today. She came from the IT corporate background and she is now a much in-demand garden designer and lady that is helping so many people transform their gardens and places of peace around the country. So I'm super excited to be sat down with you today because your story is really, really interesting. I know when we sat down over coffee, I was like, I don't understand how you come from corporate IT to garden, but I love it. It's amazing. So I've done a real brief introduction, but please, Anne-Marie, over to you. Thank you so much for joining me first and foremost today. But I don't know whether you want to introduce yourself a little bit and just tell us a little bit about, where you come from and what you're doing now.
Yes, so my name's Anne-Marie. I come from, as Sally quite rightly said, a IT. Well, it's actually mobile comms background and satellite communication background. So I was there right at the beginning in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, and I launched text messaging. Who knew that?
Love that. When you told me that, I was like, that's brilliant. And how far that's come now.
There was a little group of us that all sat around and decided, look, we can do this data packaging. And so we put it all together and it was, I don't think anyone knew how big it was going to be because you only had 140 characters that you could use. So now with smart messaging, people don't remember that restriction that you had.
Yeah, that's small bit.
Yes, absolutely. So I spent many years in that industry and brought along right up to probably 4G technology. Wow. And then moved into satellite communication, software development, and then back into the network side of the mobile telecoms environment. So I was basically a technical translator.
Yeah.
So that's what they'd call me a product manager, but it's really like a technical translator. So you have people that were doing the doing, producing all the technologies, and then you would have people that were marketing it to the outside world, like your adverts you would see on the television. And I'm in the middle telling these guys what these guys are doing.
Yes.
So, because they don't all speak the same language.
No, they certainly don't in tech.
No. So I had a great time, loved it. I went playing all over the world. I turned left more times than I turned right. And it was great. Bastille Day in the Eiffel Tower, went on Concorde. So lots and lots of amazing experiences. So had a great time. And then I got to a point in my career that I was doing contract work and I loved it. I was a consultant and I just finished my master's, my MBA, and decided to be a consultant, did that for a few years and then wanted to have a family. And I couldn't really, in my mind, I had nothing that I needed to do, particularly in that world. So I wanted to dedicate my time to having the children.
Yeah.
As an older mum, I was quite happy in my soul and I'd done it all. I didn't have any massive desire to change the world like I did in my 20s because I'd already done it. So I was really quite calm. So I had my two and just, really enjoying it, really enjoyed it. But, when you're that kind of person, I love startups, I love technology, I love learning, I'm professionally curious. So I want to know everything about everything. And I just thought I better go and do something about this. And I didn't know what to do because I wanted to have that balance. And if you're in the corporate world, it's really difficult to have a balance. Even if you're part-time, you're still full-time. You've still got to work out childcare. I didn't want anybody else to pick them up, take them to school, go to the assemblies and hear all those squeaking violins. You know the one, there's
I know the one.
List of 20 and yours is number 19. You're like, oh, no.
Got a headache.
This one I gave up the millions for, dear. Having a wonderful time. So I loved it all. So I wanted to have something in between and I love going to school. So I retrained as a garden designer and literally my list was everything. I had astronaut, undertaker.
I love this.
The whole lot. I mean, I literally listed everything. I thought, I could do an undertaking job. Well, I quite like that. A bit of death. Spirituality is great. And I thought, oh no, maybe not, because it's whatever. Anyway, so I went through, and a friend of mine said, well, you like your garden. I wasn't obsessed, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I had a secret garden because so I'm lucky to have 3 gardens. I had one that I've completely developed from nothing. She goes, well, why don't you look at that? And this was in September. Now, most academia starts in September.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Do you know what? I've missed the boat here. It's never going to happen. But I did look it up, and actually the course I started with had been delayed until November.
Wow.
So I
It's a
went, oh,
sign.
okay. Well, that's a sign. It's meant to
Yeah, that's a sign.
let's give it a go. And I did 4 years. So practically a degree course. It's called a diploma, but I always say it's a degree because I've been there.
Yeah.
But I loved it. It was great. Lovely people. I loved the whole design element to it, which I'd never been. I'm very like yourself. I'm quite left-brained. I'm quite logical thinking. And I have a soupçon of creativity, which I just literally tap into. I don't even use a process. I just go in and I know. So it was interesting to be classically trained in drawing, and how things are to be set out, and there are processes within it's kind of the structure of how design works. And then I obviously I thought, oh, I can do that, and I started working for myself doing that. That's 9 years ago now, so I've been doing it a long time, and I love to do lots of different things. I've also done a project management course within that to help with site management and operation control when you're going into the big jobs. You really need to be really, I mean, we did that with my technology side of it.
Yeah.
But when you've come out of it for a bit, you lose the language.
You do. And things change.
Things change, and things like there's scrums and, different meetings and things like that you have to get involved in. So I did that a little bit on the side. So I'm also thinking something else to do. I don't know what. Another little something that will help the world go along. I love the design part of it. And to be fair, if you listen to any of the podcasts by any of the designers, they will all say the actual design part is about that much.
Yeah.
The rest of it, the rest of the circle, the rest of it is getting it onto pieces of paper, I use CAD. I don't hand draw anymore. Had a bit of an issue drawing a straight line. I kept going up and down, and my tutors. I know, but you always think you have to be, and a lot of designers are classically trained artists. That's why they do very well, because they can really, produce artwork.
Incredible artwork.
Absolutely incredible. But they've not always got the practical design made to link with the art.
Yes.
So whereas I haven't got as much art, although I did do sculpture and things like that, I can do that kind of art. But the actual hand drawing, not as great. But I've got the practicalities and the creativity to come from that and thinking outside the box. So that's the rest of the design world to get it together for me. So I've taught myself all my CAD systems as well, which is very exciting.
Brilliant.
I know. Throw the PC out the window a few times, you know.
And we've all been there. I think as entrepreneurs or business owners, you get to a point where you're like, I don't understand why it's not working. It should work. This button should work.
And also when it does work, you're like, oh, how does that work? It's like, it worked. I couldn't do it again, but it works. So I love all that. I just love new inventions. I love bringing new things on. As I said, I love startups. A lot of my this is probably why I like being a designer as well, because everything's a startup. Every new job is different because you have inclines, you have different soil conditions. You have a house that's either up on a hill or down a valley, or they've done half the job already and you can't quite work out why that's happened. But you've got to work around it and make it look cohesive and as one design when you're actually dealing with a few. So I like all that, and the startup element is just something I think, oh yes, come on. Everyone's happy then, nothing's
I love that. I love that bit as well, because that's where you have the most enthusiasm, right? And you're like, oh, what can I do? What can I work with? What the ideas, the inspiration? Let's start kind of like molding it and look at what it looks like, or what it could potentially look like. Just like, I think what you said is actually incredible, because you said obviously you came out of the IT world and you sat there and you wrote a list of all the things that possibly could be. And I love and this is why I love you so much, because it's almost like you have the same thinking as I do, that actually anything is possible, right? I could literally have done anything. this was my moment to do anything. Like you're saying, astronaut, garden designer, like I could have done anything. And I love that about you. And that's what I wish more people would have, is that sense of kind of like, I can actually do anything. Yes, I have to work hard, right? Yes, you took yourself back to school, like, but see that it is you. It's not just like, oh, it's going to land in my lap. Yes, I can do anything. It's going to land in my lap. Yeah, I've got to work for it. But you have that sense of you that is like, yeah, anything is possible. I've just got to do the do. If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you took yourself back to university or school? Or
right, so when I did my master's, I was 30.
Yeah.
My MBA, and then when I went back to work, when I did that, I probably was about 44.
I love
that. So yeah.
Yes.
So quite young, really.
It is, but, and that's the thing. And I think that's really interesting, isn't it? Because it is absolutely, 44 is actually really, really young. Like if you're going to work until 70 or whatever you feel your passion is going to take you to, actually that's still really young. But yet society still, I feel, still has this concept or this stigma around, oh, you're too old. And it's like, no, you're not. Absolutely, like that's
absolutely not. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to live until 103.
Oh, same here.
So I mean, I've got a long way to go.
Exactly.
The old person's never going to come in here, I have to say.
Oh so no, I'm
going to be Joan Collins all the way.
Yes, I said I had a conversation actually with someone this morning. This guy that I met on the dog walk, and we were chatting, and I said to him, I am the girl that will at the end will lie there and be like, wow, that was a wild ride. That was great. I did it all. Like, I did not hold back. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. I'm not going to lie there and be like, oh, I wish I had off. Oh, why did I not? I'm like, I'm on the other end of the scale. Like, that was wild. That's amazing. I love that you've done all this. It's absolutely incredible. And now obviously you're working with people, I guess, like in local areas. You're working with people on a bigger scale as well, like across the country.
Yeah, I do commercial, I do domestic, mainly domestic, but I do some commercial work. Yeah, I've got a really good team I work with and who have their own company. I don't have the landscapers, but they work with me really, really closely. And we get on so well. It's like work husband and work wife, you know? So it just works nicely in a really cohesive team, because I reply quick. I quote quick, I reply quick, I work quick. And within the industry that I'm currently in, it doesn't work like that. They take ages to come back to you and nobody phones you. Whereas when people talk to me, I'm quick. I'm like, hello, yes, what can I do for you? Right, I can slot you in here. I'll move things around to help everybody. But I don't let people hang around for weeks. And the people that I have quoting for the jobs that I'm doing in terms of the landscaping work, they quote very quickly as well. So it's a really nice team. I have no patience for the undynamic. It just doesn't work for me. There is a place for everybody, don't get me wrong, and they're wonderful. But it's just not how I work, because basically I would get frustrated with them and they get annoyed with me. And I'm in a very male orientated industry and they just switch off. So, you know, if they'll just go, oh, I'm going to go and do something else. She's too annoying. But the ones I work with are like, yeah, great. What we're going to do now? Come on, let's get it in the diary. We book up 6 months in advance. It's really, really, and our customers really like it.
Yeah, they will do. They'll love that.
Really like it.
And that's amazing. I feel like you've pulled on all the skills you've learned, whether it be in the corporate world or whether it be working for yourself or starting a startup and working with different people. And it's almost like you've put them all together. And you're using all of them. You've learned from every single one. So it's not like you're kind of sitting there going, oh, well, now I work in gardens, so that has nothing to do with my previous career, so I'll just forget all of that knowledge. You're pulling bits out of it, and that is what has propelled you forward. You have used all the skills that you've learned and you've taken all of them and you're bringing them all together, and that's the incredible part.
Oh, thank you, my lovely.
No,
yes, it is like that. Yeah,
I guess like one of my questions, which I kind of see a bit of, is when people start up, sorry if you can hear the dog barking in the background, by the way, happens, when people go from making that jump from kind of like either a corporate business into like working for themselves or something like that, did you ever kind of feel a sense of like not quite knowing what to do or feeling a bit lost or lacking a bit of confidence, anything like that?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'd say for the first 6 years, imposter syndrome all the way.
Yeah.
A lot of the designers that I work with are from the aristocracy, and they come from a lineage of designers, and there's a lot of, and as I said, they're kind of like classically trained artists. So I'm like, wow, well, I know how to put a software package together, but so I was absolutely imposter syndrome. And I think a little bit that is good.
Yes, I think so too.
I think it keeps you keen. It
keeps you on your toes almost slightly.
Absolutely. It stops you being complacent, because you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure this is done absolutely to the nth degree in terms of detail. I mean, no one's perfect, but that definitely is that. Now I'm much more confident, and I would say probably 95% there. And I will always keep a 5% slot of, you've got to make sure you can't be that complacent. And also, in the world that I'm in, is a bit like the software world and corporate world, not corporate, but software, is that things change.
Yes, constantly, right? Yeah.
Constantly. Like any weather conditions change. Funnily enough, I was watching Clarkson's Farm last night. It was brilliant, so funny. But they were recording in 2024, and there was torrential rain for 6 months. In 2024, so everything was really wet. You had excavations were taking forever because they're in mud baths. We had mudslides. We had everything. This year we've had 5 to 6 weeks now of hardly any rain at all.
We have.
Completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. Which brings a completely the opposite whole bag of problems that we overcome. So and the plants react differently. Some of them are having an absolute field day, and some of them not so happy.
Really struggling.
Really struggling. You know, the grass is brown before it's meant to. There's a lot of plants that are suffering who like a lot more moisture. You know, things like weeping willows who like a lot of wet. Are all looking a little bit less, dangling. It's all those kind of things, technical. But there's
technical term there.
So it's interesting. So now when I look at programs, my kids laugh because I go, oh, that was filmed in winter. And I go, that's because you're looking at the plants, isn't it? I said, yeah, it is. Yeah. There's no leaves on that oak. That must be in October, the end of November. They're the last ones to do it. That's just in bud now. That must have been in the.
They filmed that at a different time.
Yeah. And honestly, I just see every program in seasonal way.
In season, I love that though. I love what you said. Like it's like yes, you've got imposter syndrome, which I think so many people do, right? Regardless. But I love what you said in the sense of like you always leave that little gap, and I think that is so important for people to understand and to learn to do, because it's room for growth, right? And as humans, we need to keep growing, we need to keep evolving, we need to keep learning, we need to keep changing. And that's amazing, because then that will push you on to be like, right, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And especially, like you said, you're working in a world where things are interchangeable. There's a lot of things that change quite a lot. So you have to keep learning. And that is something that will carry on with you for life, for sure. That kind of that want for just leaving a little bit. So it's like, I need to keep pushing myself forward.
Absolutely. And people invent things all the time. There's always new developments. Having said that, it doesn't go as fast as you think it would do. So technology doesn't move as fast as you think it would do. Back in the 60s, they thought we would all be holograms. That's not happened. But we've definitely a little bit, except for ABBA. They're the only ones that become a hologram. We're now on, I'm in my studio, you're in your office. So that's progress. But looking back at it, 50, 60 years ago, they thought we would be in a lot more advanced situation than we are. They had Concorde in the 70s. We don't have anything fast.
They got rid of that.
So it is a bit cyclical, because they are coming back with something really quick. But I do think it's although you have to catch on to the new stuff, and people develop, and and it's not as fast, and people think it's fast, which means it's daunting, and it's not. It isn't as fast. You've got time to learn it before it moves on. And anything in my world that I feel, if I learn, it's all a foundation for the next bit. So I've had that, and I'm adding to it, and then I'm adding to it, and then I'm adding to it.
It's this compound effect, isn't it, of kind of like just adding to your knowledge slowly, and doing it very much at your own pace and at your own time. And I just keep adding to it, and then kind of being able to pull on that and being able to put that into your business, to be able to put that into the people that you serve and you support and you work for. It's all of that. It's kind of bringing it all together and having that compound effect of kind of just keep moving it forward, keep moving the dial around, keep adding to it, keep learning. And I think that is incredible, and that is so important. You are an absolute inspiration. I love it. I love your energy as well.
Oh, thank you. I love yours.
Thank you. That's why we work so well together. One of the things I was going to ask you, like, I'm quite a spiritual person. I call myself spiritual for various reasons. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, obviously, you're creating spaces for people, whether that be in gardens or other outdoor settings, and there must be an element of that, because you're kind of trying to create something in the physical, but I guess are you trying to create something in the mental space as well for people? And how do you sort of work with that? How does that work for you?
Well, there is actually there is a term in the design world called locus geni. So it's a feeling.
Yes.
It's the feeling. You go in and you're going, what is that? What is the feeling?
Yeah.
And it's important to understand how the person in their house, and you go through how and talk to them what they want to do, how they play, how they work, what they're looking for. And then also from the spiritual point of view, what do you want to do? Do you like to sit, and listen to the birds?
Yes.
Or, are you a bit, as I call it, neurospicy? You like to get up and go on, and while we're moving, we're doing this. Want a new idea? Want to do?
Yes.
And if that's the case, we want stuff that's easy to look after. Because you're going to move on. You're like a magpie. You're going to move on to the next shiny thing. And, we're going to have a hot tub this year, and then we're going to have an outside kitchen, and then we're going to have some new patio space. And a lot of my customers change. They're the same house. They change over quite a lot. Lovely. They have, I've seen that on Chelsea, and I want a new section there, take up that. But my new customers are going, okay, I want to do this bit for the moment.
Yes, of course.
Can we move it round later? Yes, absolutely. If you want to move it around later, we'll do it this way. And it's understanding the spirit of the person.
Yes.
How is this going to work for you? I don't ever want to create a outside space where you're going to open the curtains and go, oh, close it again and run off, because it's just too much for you. I want one that open the curtains, go, let's get out there.
I want to go outside.
Yes. Yeah. Open the front door, straight to the back door in the garden. That's how I want people. And that's most of my designs happen that way, that everyone says, I have never spent so much time in my garden ever.
Which is amazing.
I love it.
I think as well, like, it's so, like, I'm big into being outside. Like, I love being outside, whether that be outside in the woods, in nature, in my own garden, in my own space. Like, I love that so much, because it really does bring me a sense of peace. It brings me a sense of grounding. It's my space to kind of come back to my thoughts and think about what's next for me. And so I love the idea that you're creating that for someone, and that you have to almost, I guess, get into their mindset of what it is that they want to feel, right? What they want to create, what the feeling they want to create in their mind, first of all.
Oh, absolutely. And if you look at it, most places, your garden is near enough the same footprint as your house.
Yes.
You might even have more square footage in your garden in certain places, probably not in the towns and cities, but if you get slightly out in the suburbs, they've got massive gardens. There's more room in the garden than there isn't actually in the house. So why aren't you utilising that? That's all your property. So you should be using them as outdoor rooms. That should be an extension of your home to live in. And then if you want to sell it, that is going to be a contract. People go outside going, oh, it was a lovely garden. Oh, we can decorate the house. It was a lovely garden. It's really important to have both of them.
So that's incredible what you're doing, because you're creating something in the physical, but you're also creating something in the emotional, in the mental, and that's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. I absolutely love it. I'd love you to come and have a look at mine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, anytime. I don't mind.
One of the questions that I ask people is, if there was a piece of advice that you could give, I guess, your former self, so whether that be when you were sort of like looking to come out of the IT world and jump into into like working for yourself, and what would be the one piece of advice that you would give someone if they were if they were in that place where they're kind of making that jump? What would be the piece of advice that you would give for them?
I think it's just, don't worry about it. It will happen. If it's meant to be, it will happen. So don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes.
You know, make sure you're financially okay, because you'll have 6 months to a year where it's baked beans on toast. But, you know, quite expensive. It's probably something even cheaper now. But do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You have to have a year to get yourself financially to a little reservoir of money that you, or reserve, not reservoir, a reserve of money, and don't sweat the small stuff. It will
It's
all
almost like
happen.
Just make it happen. I remember when we sat down and we were having coffee, and you said to me, you said, I think it was something along the lines of like, if my son comes to me with an idea, I always say to him, like, don't voice it until you're ready, because otherwise I will draw up all the plans, I will help you execute on it, and we will go. And I loved that about you. I love that energy about you, where it's you very much like, there's nothing holding you back at all. You're like, right, if I want to do something, let's do it. This is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to work, and we're going to go for it. And I love that, because that's very rare to find in people. I think like that has, over the years, unfortunately, a lot of people have lost that. Whereas you've got it burning bright, and I love it.
Thank you, but it is true. I do.
It's true.
Don't push the mummy button, because we will be off and running.
We will be off.
Yeah. What
that rocket will have fired.
But I do believe that. I believe in manifestation. You know, I do have a spiritual background. I do have a faith background as well. So I'm a Catholic and I'm a Eucharistic minister, but I also enjoy the spirituality side of my life. And I do think if you visualize it and you want it, it will happen. You've just got to have faith and just be nice, you know, have faith and work out, right, I want to do this, this, and this. Got to tell everybody, got to tell God, the universe, whatever you want to call them, what you want. Be prescriptive. Say, I want this and this and this. And, you know, it comes down to in parking spaces.
Oh my gosh, I've done that before. I've done that so many times. Yeah.
Parking angel, so powerful.
Oh, so powerful.
Thank you. No, it didn't just happen. I asked for it and they supplied it, and it was so fantastic.
I just sit there, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And it is true. And although you have to do a lot of hard work, it's not really hard work. Most of the hard work is not overthinking it.
Yeah.
It's just put it out there and forget about it and go on your everyday. Create opportunities for what things you want to come into your world. Like, don't sit at home doing that, because unless you're going to be a software developer, I can't really see the point yet. Leave the house and go and talk to somebody. And you will find you're attracting people that like I attracted you. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. Right.
You're so cool.
That's so true though, that you have absolutely nailed it, because I think there's manifestation has become more trendy and there's more of a hype around it, and but I think one of the biggest things that the people forget, right, is yes, you can manifest anything you want, right, but it doesn't fall in your lap. So you still have to do the work. You still have to do the do. You still have to put the energy in. Absolutely, yes, put it out into the universe, whether that be God, universe, angels, whatever that might look like for you. But you still have to do the bits, and you still have to keep picking up the breadcrumbs. And I think that's where the interesting part is, and I think that's where sometimes people then poo-poo it, and they poo-poo this idea of the fact that we're all energetic beings, and that we can attract what we want into our life. Because they don't do it. They sit there. It's like sitting on the sofa, eating loads of cookies and being like, I want to lose a stone. And I want to say, why isn't it coming? And you're like, you still have to do the do. Like, you still have to put the pieces in place. And it's so true, right? But I think you are an absolute shining example of that, because you've had the idea, you've put it out into the universe, and then you've kind of cracked on. And look at what it's created.
Yeah, I know. And it's like everything. It's even like with garden design. If you've got an area at the top of your garden and you've got your patio here, you have to have a path. You have to have a path. And everyone goes, no. Yes, you do, because nobody wants to walk on grass. Don't care whoever you are. You're not going to go in the muddy grass because you think, oh, it's going to be wet, it's going to be muddy.
It's going to be wet and it's going to be soggy, especially first thing in the morning.
Exactly. No one wants to do that. But if you have a path, you will walk up and have a cup of tea and a coffee at the end of your garden and watch the sunrise.
Yeah.
That's how impactful it is to have a path to where you want to go. So design for me is like that, and life is like that. If I don't create the path, I'm never going to have my coffee and watching the sunrise at the top of the garden.
Yeah.
That
is a beautiful way of putting it. That is an absolutely fantastic way of putting it. I think the other thing is as well with these sorts of things is it's like, in regards to the spiritual side of things and manifestation, it's understanding that sometimes we can put the thing out that we want, that we really, really want, but actually the thing that we sometimes get is actually so much better than we could have anticipated. And it's just having that trust and that faith in ourselves that we're just being guided in the right direction, even when you sit there and you're like, well, this isn't how it was meant to be. But actually what you get at the end of it is incredible. And it's the same concept, like you were saying, like you create the path, and at the end of the path you can sit there and you can have your coffee and things like that, and you can sit there and you can take it in, and I guarantee you it will look so much better than you ever could have imagined in the first place.
Yeah, totally. It's like faith, and it's the difference between want and need.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love it. We've had garden tips and spirituality, we've had business. I love it. And yes, me and you will still most certainly be here when we are 103.
Yeah,
probably having another conversation like this. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, now this is recorded, we can go back and look at it and go, wow, we were good.
Time capsule.
Well, that is really like it, isn't it? Because we can go back and look at this and people can watch this, and I love it. It's my first podcast. I'm very excited.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. What I will do, I'll pop your website link in the show notes. If people want to reach out to you, then they absolutely can. But
that'd be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I will add in all Anne-Marie's like social medias and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to reach out to her, then please absolutely do. But thank you so much for a wonderful day. I wish you the very best, and I can't wait to see you soon in person. We can catch up. Thank you, my darling. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye.